Hi everyone, we're here with Tmea number 13, the slow etude. Just a few things here. Obviously, the most important thing with all of these is to read the performance guide that Dr. Card wrote. Dr. Card selected the etudes this year, and she wrote some very informative notes that are on the Tmea website, and that's always required reading, okay, for all of these. So I urge you to go check that out, all right? I'm gonna mention just a few things here as well. So with any of these things like the slow etudes, we want to make as much dynamic contrast as possible. And there's a lot written in here on the page. There's a lot on the page to do, but also providing as much contrast as possible between your forte and your piano. Really trying to provide that contrast for the listener, all right? The other thing here is finding some arrival points or some goal notes within the phrases that are more important and really making those obvious to the listener, all right? So for example, at the beginning, I'm gonna lean on that D in measure 3, and then we're really going to the downbeat of measure 4 to that G sharp, because that G sharp is a wrong note, right? It's not in the key, and then it resolves to the A, and we wanna make that really obvious, right? We really want to make that clear. And I ask my students to circle these notes. So these special notes or these arrival notes, circle them so that you can see it when you're playing it. It will help also give you a visual cue as to where that phrase is going, all right? So find those notes, go through the whole etude, as you play each phrase, decide what's the important part of this phrase. Where's the goal note, where's the arrival point in this phrase, and which note do I want to lean on or bring out, all right? And just go ahead and circle them. In measure 6, this is the standard conundrum for clarinetists, right? The D sharp to B to C sharp to D sharp. Obviously, if you have the alternate E flat key, E flat D sharp key like I do here, then that's the one to use, right? Right, it makes that little passage very easy. If you don't have it, then as the editor wrote in here, slide between the B and the C sharp. So you're going to play the left-hand pinky on the B, and then you're going to pull that pinky to the C sharp key, all right? So, and we're lightly maybe touching the reed with our tongue. You know, it's the staccato under a slur, so I'm lightly just sort of touching the reed with my tongue there, all right? But you're going to slide there from the B to the C sharp key. I've seen some people who want to slide from D sharp down to the B key this way. You can do that. It's further to go, okay? But really there's no rule here. It's whatever you feel you can do successfully and consistently and smoothly, all right? So you just have to practice it and see what you can do there, all right? In measure 13, we've got the second beat, we've got G to F sharp to E sharp to F sharp. Dr. Card suggests flipping back to the regular F sharp for the second F sharp there. You can do that, so. Right, you flip to that second F sharp. You can also continue to play the chromatic F sharp and then slide your fingers down in the right hand for the C sharp. So, and what also helps make that work is that there's a little bit of space there, right? Because the second F sharp is the end of the slur, and then we're re-articulating the C sharp, the next note there. So there's a little bit of space, so we can get our fingers down to the C sharp there. Again, there's no rule. Experiment both ways and see what you feel like you can do more smoothly, okay? Just it's personal preference. Obviously, in measure 14, the chromatic F sharp key there. Make sure you're using the side F sharp, right? Make sure you're using that chromatic F sharp, the side F sharp key there, all right? In measure 25, we've got forte going to fortissimo. The end of that previous phrase is piano. So we're finishing it. Right? as much contrast as we can, that forte to fortissimo, and then it's back to piano again. So really play that big, all right? And notice that, you've got 32nd notes, doubly dotted 8th note, 32nd note. It's not a dotted 8th 16th. So, really. And so that's important to really make that distinction. And in fact, one thing that's good to do with this one is to put your metronome on the 8th click as you're learning this, because there's a lot of subdivisions in here, right? We've got 8th notes, we've got 16th notes, we've got 16th triplets, and we've got 32nd notes. And we want to make sure that they're all relating to each other in the proper manner. So having your metronome on the 8th click can be good when you're learning this, because it will really keep you honest. Then, once you feel good about the rhythms, I would suggest, thinking the big beat here and thinking the quarter note beat for this one as you perform it. I think it'll help make it more musical in the end if we're thinking the big beat. But as you're learning it, go through and make sure that all of the little small notes, those rhythms, are correct there, okay? In measure 29, we've got that trill, the F sharp G, so. Right, we've got that. One thing you can do if you want is you can play the beat 2 chromatically and trill your first finger for the G. Now, and just leave the chromatic key down here. Now, what that will mean is it could make the G a little sharp. So depending on your clarinet, it's sometimes different for different clarinets. But you can hear, right? I have that chromatic key down. But in a trill, you may not notice it. So if I go, it'll make going to that grace note a little bit easier. So that's something else that you can, mess around with and practice and see what you think about it, okay? Again, there's no rule. It's just, trying to make that as smooth in the slur as possible, as smooth and consistent. And so that may be something you want to try there, all right? In measure 34 here, we can use, in beat 1, we've got the, so we've got these 32nd notes. And one thing that might make this a little easier in beat 1 is the A sharp to the B going down to the E, right? One thing that might make that a little bit easier is if you play the A sharp 1 and 2. So first finger, second finger, right? So I'm going. Now the 1 and 2 A sharp is sharp. You can hear it, right? It's sharp. But this is going fast. It's 32nd notes, remember. So. Right? So playing that 1 and 2 for that A sharp may work okay. Maybe something you want to try. If you feel more comfortable using the side A sharp there, no problem. All right? Go ahead. Again, it's personal preference here, okay? So I would say on this one, tons of dynamic contrast, all right? Really make as much contrast as possible, and then start learning it with your metronome on the 8th click so that you're really making sure that all these notes, all these rhythms are in the proper place. And then go back and practice it with the quarter note click. Feel the big beat for the performance, okay? Good luck.